Hello, friends. Hello. Today's reboot is a 2014 Coachman Freelander. It is an RV and it's in pretty decent shape, I thought. And the owner brought it, he was a referral from the detail dudes. And I thought, oh, sure, why not? And I got some pictures and I quoted it for him. I quoted it at $600. And when he dropped off the vehicle, he gave me $300 up front in cash. But okay, no problem. I just went into it normal. I wanted to do a good job. I treat it the way that I would my own vehicles, doing it as if it were me moving into them. But this family was moving into it. So I hope that makes sense. So anyway, this was a fun detail. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of hard work. However, it didn't quite turn out the way that I had originally anticipated. So when I got started on the cleaning, as I said, my plan of attack was to treat it the way that I would treat my own. And I also knew this family was moving into it, so I wanted to use the steamer to give it a more of a sanitizing clean, you know what I mean? And so I really tried to make sure we got the cabinets cleaned out, make sure we worked on the walls. Another family had used it for a while and they were moving into it after buying it. So, hey, when you're first moving into a place, you want it clean. If it were a house, it would be the same way. So I just looked at it like that. And I did run into a few challenges. I knew the spots that the owner was concerned about, but I wanted to really give focus to the spots that the owner was concerned about. And I did. I think I did a pretty darn good job. When you're doing a vehicle or something like that of this size, it's going to be easy to have misses. I just didn't realize until this detail, that my level of clean may not be the level of clean of other people. For example, my level of clean would be different than my daughter's level of clean, or my daughter's level would be different than even her husband's level. So it was this detail that kind of taught me that when I thought it was clean, somebody else may not have thought it was clean. And somebody else may have thought because there's one dirty spot, all of it was dirty. Okay, and there are people like that. So when I got to the bathroom, now this was a point of concern for the owner, and I really wanted to focus on that. He spoke about the tracks along the shower, some of the nastiness in the shower. He also spoke about he wanted the toilet clean and the wall and the flooring around the toilet. So I really made sure that I focused on getting all of that clean. Now the shower door was a glass door and it came around the corner. If you open it, it went around the corner. Well, right in the corner, there was one spot you could not get to. There was nothing. Even if I stepped in the shower and closed the door, you still could not reach that spot. It was somehow, some way, the design made it that this little 1-inch spot was just impossible to get to. Even the steamer was not able to work out whatever gunk was in there. I tried a few tools and it just didn't work. But I was able to at least get the rest of it clean with a little work, but I did get it clean. However, the biggest challenge was the light was not working in that bathroom. And therefore, I was forced to use the only LED light that I had at the time. And it was very difficult. So in a situation like that, again, you are going to run into situations where it's possible that you could have missed spots. The kitchen area, it had some permanent staining on the counters. There was a couple spots on the wall. There was also a spot on the stove, if I remember right. And, then you go into the living space, and there was one spot on the bench. I remember that, and the table, and a couple of dings on the wall and things like that. So I kind of made note of those and didn't worry too much about it. I assumed that the family had seen those stains. And I went ahead and did my best to minimize those stains, but some of them were permanent. They were not going to come clean. Also, on the ceiling above this entire area, there was a weird, and I had to use Goo Gone on it, a weird sticky substance. I don't know if it was tape. I'm not real sure. But I had to use Goo Gone on it, but I did. I got it off of there, and it didn't stain it or anything, but I had to put in that extra work to make sure that that was clean. So allow me to kind of describe everything leading up to the cabin of this detail. It was relatively normal. I raised the extra couch bed, made sure that I got a vacuum under there. I made sure that I pulled the mattress down from the top bunk above the cabin. With the cabin, their seats had a lot, not a lot, just a few pieces that were stained up. I did warn him that if they were baked in, because the RV did a lot of sitting when the family prior were not using it, it may prevent me from being able to do much with it. I was not in a position to pull out the extractor, but I figured that some APC or something like that would help clean it. You also have to understand, I was still very inexperienced with seats at this point. I had also run out of water on this in the steamer, so there was no way to just get that steamer filled up for one little area. And I thought it would do okay. And based on the lighting, it seemed to have done okay. So when I took this detail, I had a full schedule of dealership details already to do. And I originally told him I didn't have time, but I could get to it next week. He mentioned that his family was moving into it and they needed it done in the next 24 to 48 hours. I didn't have anybody at the time that I could refer him to. So I went ahead and decided, because I did need the money, that what I would do is go ahead and work on it at night after I was done with the other stuff that day. So they delivered the vehicle here to the house. And so out there in the driveway for about 7-8 hours, right in between there, I detailed this RV until about 3 in the morning. And when I finally finished, I did have a list of things that I wanted to mention to him. I suspected there was probably going to be a few misses, and a lot of that was due to the lighting. Even though I had gone back, looked over everything, thinking, okay, maybe I've missed something. It's easy to do, especially in something like this. Just trying to troubleshoot and solve any anticipated problems. And kind of went over it, and it looked really good. So the things that I knew that could be a potential problem, I did mention. What I did was I sat down when I was done and I sent him a text message explaining that I was done. And I explained that here's some of the issues that I had. And I also told him, if you find anything out of sync or out of sort or still dirty, whatever the case may be, give me a holler. I will come and take care of it. And everything went good with the final inspection, and everything seemed to work out. So about 2 hours after pickup and about 30 minutes after I got to my part-time job, which I was working at the time, I got a text message, a very long one, along with some pictures, about 3 or 4, and a list of maybe 15 different items that were supposedly not done. Now, I know that there were not 15 items that I missed. I can imagine 3 or 4, maybe 5, but certainly not all of these. I also reading through his message, I want a full refund. And I'm like, what? I don't think so. I didn't just put that work in for nothing. And so I did my best to resolve the situation. What I told him was there are no refunds. However, if it is that bad, I would discuss not worrying about the other half, which he had not paid yet. He did not have cash. He was going to have to do it through Cash App. And I did say I was so sorry that I had these misses, but I would come out the next day and take care of it. No problem. He would not have to come to me. I did my best. He was not having it. He was all about getting his money back. Calling this a light cleaning is what he called it. And also what he did was he threatened me in response to what I said. He threatened to give me a bad Google review. He threatened to take me to court and sue me. And then he also threatened me with the Facebook post because he, quote unquote, knew a lot of people. I know a lot of people too. And that was not going to fly with me. And I don't take kindly to the insults and the threats. And that's what he did. He insulted me like you wouldn't believe. And I was trying my best to be as professional as possible. But at this point, I kind of figured out, he said, I want my other $300 back. And it was at that point, I kind of realized this man was trying to scam me. The next morning, late morning, I woke up to a text message and an email. The text message was from him. The email was from Google. This man left a bad Google review on my Google business page. Insulted me like you would not believe. I wish I had taken a screenshot of it. I was extremely angry at that point. I moved over to the text message. He sent me a message, again, another book, explaining with this little video that this is what happens with just a wipe off. You could have done that, called me unprofessional, insulted me like crazy, and then gave me an ultimatum. He said he left me a bad Google review and he was going to pursue it further if I did not give him a full refund in 48 hours. And I'm like, So I responded, you are not getting a refund. He responded with, I'll let you keep 50% of what you already took. I want $150 back in 48 hours, or I will take further action. If I do not have it back in 48 hours, I will assume that you don't want to make this right. It was at that point I had to decide. It was a weekend, so I had to go back to work. And just before work, I decided, you know what? I'm going to give you your $150 back, but I'm not going to go quietly. And I didn't. I sent him a book back, and I let him know, you may be used to being able to push women around in your personal life, but I am not her. And I went into, he was a scammer. He wanted a free detail. I mean, I laid into him. My book was probably a lot thicker than his. And ultimately, the very next day, he never responded to my message, but he did take his Google review down. But I think he knew at that point he was not messing with some Betty Boop who was going to take it from him. Alrighty, friends, so that is my nightmare RV story. It did put a wrench in plans for a while, but I survived. Thanks for hanging out on my channel, guys. I sure do appreciate it. And until the next video, we'll see you later. Peace.